Hello, West River, and welcome back to another episode of ORTV News. We have a bunch of fun segments for you and this teddy bear, so I hope you have fun. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Counseling Corner. Today, we have Mr. Baker with us to share with us some things from the counselors. All right, what do you have for us today?
Thanks, Trevor. So right now, I want to talk to you guys about course selection. That is the big push in our office. So right now we are meeting with rising seniors about reviewing their course requests for next school year. We had just recently closed the portal, so we have locked out the ability for you to go in and make changes to the course requests in PowerSchool. However, you still have an opportunity to meet with your counselor to review the courses, and I'm sure you have burning questions about classes you're hoping to take next year, so we want to make sure that we have an opportunity to meet with you to answer those questions. So the best thing I could suggest right now is make sure that if you for some reason could not put your requests into PowerSchool, that you have them written down, you have them stored somewhere, and that you go into your Counseling Corner Schoology group to find a PDF file we put into resources and into a recent post called Bookings Links. And in there, it directs you to Microsoft Bookings for each of your school counselors, and creates an ability for you to create a 15-minute appointment with your counselor to review course requests. Those are super valuable appointments. Your counselor will meet with you to check your credits, make sure you're in line to graduate on time, and make sure you are in line with goals you have for yourself after high school. And of course, to make sure that you've entered your courses correctly and have the right selections for next year. So please schedule those appointments and know that next week, rising juniors will have their appointments, and the week after that, rising sophomores. So write your questions down and make sure you ask them in those meetings, and please attend those meetings.
Yeah, I can definitely say those meetings are important. I've been to several, of course, because I'm a senior now, and they are super helpful. They're just here to help you make sure you've got the right classes and you're planning for the future, which is super helpful. And do you have anything else you'd like to share with us while you're here?
Sure. We just wrapped up March in the counseling office. Every month we take a nationally recognized awareness month and try to bring awareness to that topic here at the high school. And March was Gender Equality Month, and it's really important to stress the importance of gender equality in our school. For those of you who haven't read our high school's mission statement, one of the lines in the mission statement is that the uniqueness of every member is valued. And it's very clear that we at Oyster River support all students. We don't discriminate on any criteria, especially gender identity and gender expression. So we want to make sure that you know that it was Gender Equality Month, and March 31st was the Transgender Day of Visibility. And we're just really open and supportive of all of our students, and all of the counselors have safe spaces in the office for you to talk about anything and to address any concerns that you may have about gender equality in our schools. So we just want to put a plug in for Gender Equality Month and make sure you know that you have trusted, supportive people here at the high school.
That is definitely an awesome message that is echoed by all of us here at ORTV, because we, as a part of the Oyster River community, want to make sure everyone feels included, because everyone is special in their own way. Thank you very much for coming, and we will see you next time in the Counseling Corner.
February might be over, but Black history doesn't stop for the rest of the year. It's important to learn about Black history so we can develop a more complete view of America and understand where systemic racism comes from. Understanding the past helps us understand the present. Here's the rest of the DEI group to talk about some interesting Black historical figures you can learn about.
One person who should be taught about more is Marsha Payette No Mind Johnson. Johnson was a Black trans woman who was a prominent figure in the Stonewall riots in 1969. The Stonewall riots occurred when the police raided a gay bar at Stonewall Inn. The events were known as a catalyst for the gay rights movement. After the Stonewall riots, Johnson co-founded STAR, an organization dedicated to helping and providing shelter for the homeless transgender youth. Another big part of Johnson's life was being a self-made drag queen and performer. Johnson was an activist with ACT UP, an organization to fight AIDS.
U.S. Representative John Lewis described Annie Lee Cooper as upfront, pleasant, and absolutely fearless. Cooper was raised in Selma, Alabama, and was involved in the 1965 Selma voting rights movement. She stood in line for hours and faced violence just to register to vote. When a local sheriff poked her with his billy club, Cooper knocked him to the ground, defending herself, and was charged with criminal provocation.
Bell Hooks was a pen name for American scholar and activist Gloria Jean Botkin. Gloria was an author who wrote about the connections between race, gender, and class. She also worked as a professor at a college in Kentucky, where the Bell Hooks Institute was founded. Some of her writings include Ain't I a Woman?, Black Women and Feminism, and Black Looks, Race and Representation.
Jesse Owens was an American track and field athlete who won 4 gold medals at the Berlin Olympics in 1936. He was known as the Buckeye Bullet and broke 2 world records, along with a long jump record that lasted for 25 years. Most notably, Owens disproved Hitler's belief that Aryans were superior to all others.
Dr. Charles Drew was an African-American surgeon who discovered methods to store and process blood plasma in blood banks. He organized the first large blood bank in the U.S. and directed the United States and Great Britain blood plasma programs in World War II. Unfortunately, Drew resigned his post shortly after when the military wanted to segregate the blood donated by African Americans. Dr. Charles Drew was awarded the 1943 Spingarn Medal by the NAACP for the highest and noblest achievement by an African American during that time.
There are many more important African American historical figures and events which have greatly influenced the United States. We encourage you all to learn more.
So, Mr. Miller, I would like you to, with our incoming freshman students and stuff like that this year, especially with the new softball season coming up, and hopefully with COVID protocols kind of relaxing as the warmer weather comes in, would you like to introduce yourself more so that we could possibly get some intrigue into the players?
Sure. So I'm Glenn Miller. I'm actually a professor at the University of New Hampshire, but I'm also the varsity softball coach for Oyster River. Technically, this is my 8th year as the softball coach, although we didn't have a season last year because of COVID. So depending upon how you count things, maybe this is only my 7th year. But either way, I've been doing it for a while, and the program has been growing really by leaps and bounds and doing quite well in recent years. So we're very excited for the season.
Is there anything that you would like to say to possible new players or recurring players to help them get excited for the new season? Anything to look forward to?
Sure. I mean, probably the most important thing I can tell prospective new players is that we just started preseason workouts. We were given permission to do so. In a normal non-pandemic year, we do that much earlier, like late November, early December, we start preseason workouts. But this year, because of COVID, the sport was only approved by the school board a week or so ago. And so we're just starting now, but if there are folks that are out there that are interested in softball and want to play softball for Oyster River High School, please contact me, contact some of the other players in the school, and we'll tell you all about the voluntary preseason workouts that we do. They are 100% voluntary, but they really help student athletes kind of get the rust off if you haven't been playing on a regular basis, which most people don't do in the winter. So it's a great opportunity to learn more about our program, about the players that are already in the program, and to shake off some of that rust.
You guys have any possible scheduled tournaments or games that are already in the works? Or
Yeah, great question. Normally our schedule for the season, our game schedule, has been published 6 or 9 months before the season even begins, when all the athletic directors get together to do that. But this year, because of COVID, scheduling is coming about very late. The sport was just approved by the school board a week or so ago, so schedules are coming together right now as we speak. We don't have a final game schedule yet, but we've already got a number of games scheduled, and it's actually a very exciting year for the softball team. Sometimes you have to take advantage of opportunities where they lie, and COVID presents a lot of challenges for sure, but this year it's presented us some great opportunities to play some D1 schools during our regular season. And that's because we are asked to play schools that are close to us, in distance in order to cut down on travel times and things like that. So most of the schools that play softball in this area that are close to us are D1. So we're going to have an opportunity to play some D1 schools, and we're excited about that.
So are those Division I schools something like Exeter School District? I think Dover's a D2 school, if I'm correct.
No, actually, Dover's D1. So the D1 schools that were already scheduled to play include a pair of games with Dover, a game against Portsmouth, one against Spalding, two against Winnicott, and we're working on Exeter. So we might add Exeter to that as well.
Just out of curiosity, I guess, for your guys' COVID protocols, I know that softball and baseball are very similar in terms of like player positioning and stuff like that. So in terms of mask usage, do you think possibly like outfielders might be able to go mask off if they're spread out far enough, or is everyone kind of going to be masked up? Because I know at least the baseman and the catcher for people up at bat have to wear masks because they're so close to the other team's players.
Close together there, yeah. Honestly, I don't know what the answer is. The annual spring coaches meeting is coming up this Sunday, I believe. And so I'll find out in a few days what the details of the protocols are for the season. So I'm not entirely sure right now, but I think what you just described is likely to be close, if not identical, to what we'll end up doing.
Alrighty. Is there any wrap-up statements that you would like to say to the players just to get them really excited for the season?
Well, sure. I mean, you know, sometimes we take sports for granted. You know, at Oyster River High School has a tremendous track record of getting students involved in athletics. It's a very high percentage of the students that participate in a sport, and some of them participate in more than one sport. And so we live in a culture where, you know, people just kind of take that for granted. And one of the many things this last year has taught us is that you can't take things like that for granted. We lost our season last year, the entire season, and all the spring sports lost their entire seasons. The winter sports last year were cut off during the playoffs, and it was a very traumatic time for student athletes and for some coaches as well. So I think, you know, my message would be that we should be grateful. We should be grateful that we have this opportunity to play a sport that we enjoy, and we should just try to make the most of it. Always respect each other and respect the sport itself and our opponents and the officials, and just really go out and take advantage of this wonderful opportunity.
Well, I thank you for your time, Mr. Miller. I hope that y'all's season goes phenomenally and that you guys have no incidents whatsoever, and then you guys actually do manage to play as many games as you possibly can. I thank you for your time, and I hope that this segment comes out really well for the ORTV March segment, and I hope that you're able to watch it at the end of March.
Okay. Well, thank you, Christopher. I appreciate it. Have a great day, and
Have a great day.
I'll send you a copy of the recording.
Thank you.
Sure. Take care.
Today I'm here with Oyster River's robotics team, Nullset Robotics. The team is currently working towards building a robot for this year's set of remote competitions.
We're getting ready to do our next drivetrain test for the base of the robot, version probably 3, but whatever.
This year's competition consists of a team presentation in front of a panel of judges and a video of the robot completing various tasks. So how long have you been doing robotics?
I have been doing high school robotics. This will be my, I want to say second year, even though the first year was short because of COVID. And then I did robotics in middle school for forever, and I've done a bunch of other robotics-y things for a while.
What really drew you to robotics? Like, what's like the reason you do it?
It's just fun. I mean, I like building things with my hands, so it's really, you know, fun time to like just do that kind of stuff, and like, you know, it gives you experience. You might use it in your life depending on what field you go into, so that's why I like it.
I would have to say that definitely like the one thing I like about robotics is not necessarily the robotics itself, but more like the team aspect of it. Like we have a lot of people here that have individual jobs, and it's like a good team building experience. So you get to know your teammates a lot, and you get to bond with them, and you get to create something that hopefully in the end is functional and is fun.
All right, I hope the show was fun, and we'll see you next time on ORTV News.